Hello everyone and welcome back to the AI Research Roundup. I am your host, Alex. Today, we're diving into a really interesting paper that's been trending, published on June 9th, 2025. It's called MiniCPM4, Ultra-Efficient LLMs on End Devices. The main goal here is to make powerful language models run efficiently on what they call end-side devices. So, think your phone or laptop, not a giant data center. They tackle this by innovating in several areas, including a new architecture using something called sparse attention, which is a clever way for the model to focus on only the most important parts of the input text, saving a ton of processing power. And the great thing is, the researchers didn't just publish the theory. They've also released all the code for this work on their GitHub repository. So if you head over there, you can find the model downloads and instructions to run it yourself. They provide code for inference, which is just the process of using the model to generate text, as well as for fine-tuning and quantization. Fine-tuning lets you adapt the model for a specific task. And quantization is a key technique here. It shrinks the model by using simpler numbers internally, making it much faster and perfect for running on a phone. Alright, and speaking of that efficiency, this first figure really puts it to the test. It shows a head-to-head speed comparison on a couple of different end-side GPUs. They measure two key things: prefilling speed, which is how fast the model initially processes the entire input prompt, and decoding speed, which is how fast it generates the new text one piece at a time. On both a Jetson AGX Orin and a more common RTX 4090, the results are dramatic. The MiniCPM4 model, shown in orange, is just massively faster than other models, like Llama 3, especially with very long documents. So the big question is, how does it achieve that incredible speed? Well, this figure breaks down the core mechanism, which the paper calls INFLLM version 2. It's a clever two-stage process. First, the model looks at the entire input, which it holds in something called a key value cache. That's essentially the model's short-term memory of the text. It then uses what it calls semantic kernels to calculate a relevant score for each chunk of text, and picks only the top few most important ones. Then, in stage 2, it performs the heavy attention computation only on those selected blocks. This filtering process is what makes the model so efficient. So that efficient architecture is one part of the story. But the other, equally important part, is the data the model learns from. This figure shows how they create their high-quality pre-training data, which is the huge amount of text used to teach the model about the world. The old ways, shown on the left, were slow and expensive, relying on manual work or other giant models. But their new method, which they call ultra clean, is much smarter. They use a smaller, partially trained model to efficiently verify the quality of their initial seed data, which is just a small set of perfect examples. This high-quality seed then trains a simple, super-fast classifier that can filter trillions of text documents very cheaply, creating a massive, high-quality data set for the final model. And this table really drives home just how much more efficient that process is. It shows the computational cost, measured in GPU hours, which is a standard way of calculating the total amount of processing time on a powerful graphics card. For traditional methods of verifying data for a 1 billion parameter model, you're looking at 1,200 or even 4,600 GPU hours. But with their efficient verification strategy, that number plummets to just 110. That massive reduction is what makes their whole approach feasible. And that efficiency in data cleaning directly translates to better model performance. This table really shows the payoff. It compares a model's performance when trained on different datasets: the standard fine web, one with added educational data, and their own ultra-fine web, which was built using that efficient process we just talked about. Across a whole suite of benchmarks for both English and Chinese, which test things like reasoning and general knowledge, the ultra-fine web data comes out on top. The average scores clearly show their method isn't just cheaper. It produces a better dataset that leads to a smarter model. So, in addition to creating better data, the team also needed a better way to guide the training process itself. When a model trains, you're trying to minimize a number called loss, which is basically a score for how wrong its predictions are. But what these charts show is that the relationship isn't always simple. Here, we're looking at several tests from a suite called Scaling Bench. The loss is on the horizontal axis, going from high to low, and the performance on different tasks is on the vertical axis. You can see this consistent S-shaped curve across all the plots. This sigmoid shape shows that just lowering the loss doesn't guarantee better performance. By using the loss from scaling bench, the team could much more accurately predict how the model would actually perform on real tasks, making their search for the best training strategy much more efficient. What we see here is a really thoughtful approach to efficiency. By both creating higher quality data with their ultra-fine web and using more telling metrics to guide the training, the team behind MiniCPM4 has shown it's possible to build incredibly capable models that can run right on our phones. This work is crucial for making powerful AI truly accessible, not just in the cloud. That's all for this week's AI Research Roundup. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Alex.